Good evening, everybody. I am Mike Zizzo, Vice President of Communications for IndyCar. Thank you for joining us tonight for the NTT IndyCar Series Contenders Reception. We have a great lineup. We have rookies, our rookie contenders, great lineup there, and then, of course, our championship contenders. And then we also have a special guest appearance by IndyCar President Jay Fry. But most important, we got a great host tonight. It's not going to be me. Please welcome, from NBC, the voice, Leigh Diffey.
Thanks, Mike. Hi, good evening, everyone. Both here in the room and for those of you watching, wherever you're watching, around the world on the NBC, or rather I should say IndyCar app. I'm so used to saying NBC Sports Gold, it just kind of flowed off the tongue. But we've got a great night ahead here at the Wave Street studio, which I have to say is really impressive. They do a lot of, they do weddings here, they do music, they do yoga, none of which you will see tonight. But we will have some fun, that's for sure. And I think it's really, I love these events because it gives us all a chance to kind of regroup and think about what a wonderful year that we've all experienced. And the best part is it's not over yet, right? So if you can hear a voice, it's Santino Ferrucci up the back of the room. He's doing something. What are you on? Very good. Well done. See, he's onto it. He's onto it. He gets what it's all about. But what a weekend ahead for the Firestone Grand Prix of Monterey to finish off what's been an unbelievable 2019 NTT IndyCar Series and this championship run. We're very fortunate on our side of the fence when we have to tell the stories and give the information. We are aided by a terrific guy called Russ Thompson, who's our stats guy. And he made a point of telling me, he rang me just before, and he said, I know you're doing that function tonight. Make sure that you tell everybody this is the 14th consecutive year that the IndyCar Series title will be decided at the last race. That's pretty good, right? It's pretty good, and so it just keeps on going. So, and that naturally builds real drama, natural drama, and it's very good for us to help on the broadcast and just for all the fans around the world, just to know that it's going to come down to the crunch, and we get to hear from those 4 championship contenders here tonight. Great to be back at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. You excited that IndyCar's here? So are we. So are we, and this kind of Monterey Speed Week. I hope, this is the first of many to come. And speaking with Tim earlier, get a lot of momentum. Let's build this. Let's make this an annual thing. So we're up and running. But anyway, a great night ahead, and we've got lots of people to hear from. I'd like you to join me in welcoming the president of the NTT IndyCar Series and the president of IndyCar, period, Mr. Jay Fry.
Thank you, Lee.
Or as I like to call him in our competition meetings, El Presidente is here. Welcome.
Thank you, sir. Good to see you.
Or we all just call him the boss. The boss.
That 14-year in a row thing, that was mine, so I don't know what to talk about now.
That was your line? I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
So I'm done.
But
we
can elaborate on that. But pretty cool to be here on a night like this and reflect. What are your reflections? I mean, there's a really good feel-good factor about the NTT IndyCar Series at the moment. Do you feel good?
Oh, I feel great. Coming back here's great. We're glad to be here. I think if you look at this year as a whole, we've had 7 different winners. We've had 7 different pole winners. But I think this is really the biggest one. There's been 18 drivers who've had a top 5 finish, which shows the depth of this series.
Yep.
Our races are spectacular. The drivers are spectacular. You guys are spectacular. You do a great job. So we're excited about where we're at.
Is it? I think fun's too easy a word because you guys work incredibly hard and there's a lot of responsibility on your shoulders and on your stuff. But is it fun to work with IndyCar circa 2019?
Absolutely. Thinking back when we started in 2016, we came up with a 5-year plan that we've kind of used to operate, which was a paddock-wide initiative. So we're kind of into the plan. The plan now actually goes through 2027. We got a cadence to it. The whole paddock's been involved in it. They're a pleasure to deal with, and again, I think it shows it's kind of working. We've got some good initiatives coming up, so we're excited about the future.
I think probably more than people realize, you have a lot to do with the people in your position in other series, whether it be sports cars or NASCAR, you have a lot to do with the FIA on a global scale. They want your input, you ask for theirs, etc. What is the motor racing world view of IndyCar right now?
I think they very positive. We get a lot of calls about some of the things we're doing and how we're doing it, and this plan and how it worked, and how did you get to that point, and which is exciting. It's flattering to a degree. But we, as a whole, we think the motorsports world, we need to work more together. I mean, we're all in this kind of together. So what we can do together's better. And I think if you look at even when we were working our schedule, there were some things that could have been perceived as conflicts. We made sure not to have them, to take care of our other series that we deal with. So it's just, I just think it's real important we work together.
We haven't finished 2019 yet, but people always look forward to the next racing year. 2020 schedule was just announced. We did it at the last race on our broadcast. Richmond returning. We'll go back to Circuit of the Americas and come back here to WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. What are your thoughts on that new schedule?
Well, we're certainly excited to be here this year, so thank you. This is a phenomenal facility. Actually, this is my first time here for a race, and just to see the place kind of come alive today, which was it was fun to be out there. Richmond is obviously a place that we were at before. We think this car there were some things at the end of the tenure with Richmond where the racing might not have been that good. This car that we have currently, we think it will race really well there. It will be a lot comparable to Iowa. So Iowa, with the manufacturer car a couple years ago, we had like 300 passes. 2 years ago, we had like 1,000. This year, we had like 800. So we think it'll be a great race. We're excited to go back.
Good. You were in the position where you got to make a lot of good announcements and plans for the future, hybrid technology for the future. Excited about that?
Very. So we're just really getting started with that. So how that works is we've sent out 10 different kind of RFPs to different people. We've talked to other OEMs about our plan and how it looks, and they seem to be enthused about it. Chevrolet and Honda are enthused about it. So there's a lot yet to happen, but it's in motion. We got the aero screen, which is in motion. This week we just got our first two pieces. So we've got the top frame and the actual glass, and it's been put on a car already. So we're going to test. The first test is October 2nd at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and it looks like a fighter jet. So that's what we thought it would. We think it's going to, obviously do some great things for safety and enhance our drivers' safety. We think it's going to be kind of a cutting-edge technology that other people will look at. So we're excited. We'll test it. IMS on the 2nd of October, Barber the 7th, and Richmond the 15th. So it's kind of back to back to back. So we've got a lot of things going on. The season's not ending Sunday night. Yes.
Do you get a break at all?
No. Because really, it's funny. The season ends, and we talked about this a little bit ago. When we race, we're in a routine. We do the same thing every week, so you kind of get used to the routine. When the season ends, that's when really the next season starts, and that's when lots of things start happening. But it's very random. You're going different places, and your life just kind of gets. But we all do it. It's great. We love it. But between now and Christmas, it's pretty intense.
We've got the top three drivers in the Rookie of the Year battle coming up, the Rookie of the Year contenders coming up. A lot has been made about the rookie field this year and how good it is. And drivers from all over the world and from other series as well coming here to show us what they can do in IndyCar. Your thoughts on the rookie field this year?
The rookies have been spectacular since day one. They fit right in right off the bat. They competed at a very high level. You would not even know they're rookies. I mean, that's what you are, right? I mean, They were out there competing with the best of the best right out of the box. But I think it's really cool if you look at our rookies and then you look at the drivers who are competing for the championship too. There's a lot of youth there. I mean, it's a young group. So the sport has skewed very young the last few years, and we still have some veterans that are doing great too. But I think the future is very bright.
Did they behave?
They did. One of them you're going to talk to, and I had to have a little talk with him about some things, but it was all good. Yeah, it was fine. He didn't mean to do it, and it was like. There's certain things that are okay, and there's certain things if it's on camera, it's not okay. So we got to learn from that.
All right. So if you could wrap up season 2019, what would you say?
I think it's ending too soon, right? So again, I don't mean that, but it's why we feel like we're just getting going, and then now we're coming to a great conclusion this weekend. I couldn't be more proud of our paddock. I mean, this is a group that really works hard, really works well together, really works well with us. Our drivers are spectacular on and off the track. The NBC folks it's been a great first year with them where we fed the entire season. So we're certainly glad to be back here. Glad to be going back to Richmond next year. So we're really, excited about the future.
And I'll let you into our world just for a moment. You know, as busy as Jay and his staff are, Kyle Novak, the race director, every single race weekend, Jay and Kyle and their staff give us their time to come to the TV compound and walk us through anything that may be important and pertinent, you know, to that particular weekend that we should communicate to you guys and to IndyCar fans all over the globe. And we appreciate that, mate, because
great.
you know, as
We
much
learn
as
from you guys too.
we're in the paddock and everything, but to get it from the horse's mouth is really important to us. And I know I can speak on behalf of everybody in this room and everybody watching via the app. Congratulations on getting IndyCar to where it's at, and let's finish with a great weekend and bring on 2020.
Thank you. And one thing too, this year too, with bringing NTT on board, has been spectacular. Great company, great group of people. I think you're going to really see a lot of cool things coming out next year. I mean, this year was a good year to get going, but some of the technology with the app and different things they're working on, it's going to be fun to watch next year.
When you say that, I mean, it has been a massive year. NTT coming on as principal and naming rights sponsor for us at NBC, the first full season, single broadcast partner all the way through. The technological advancements, different drivers, new tracks, old tracks returning. It has been busy, hasn't it, when you put it like that?
Yeah, we're tired, right? We're all tired. Yes, we're all very tired, but we're excited about this weekend.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jay Fry.
Thank you.
Thanks, mate. All right, I think it's time we get the rookie contenders up here. Are you ready to hear from them? The three of them. They've been backstage. They've been chatting. They get on well. They race hard, but they get on well and they have a little fun. And we will work our way from third up through first, and then we'll talk to them all together. I think it's fair to say that the driver who is third in the Rookie of the Year standings has had an amazing year. There's been points of frustration for him, but at the end of the day, he holds two incredible records, and that is the youngest to ever win a pole position and the youngest to ever win a race in IndyCar Series history. That's pretty special, isn't it? That's pretty amazing. So like I said, there's been moments of frustration where there might have been some reliability and some things that prevented him from having better results, but it's definitely been a season to remember for the second generation driver, the man who pilots the 88 Capstone Turbine Honda for Harding Steinbrenner Racing. It's been terrific to have Harding Steinbrenner in at the level that they're in this year. Would you please make welcome Colton Herter. And I think if that'll be good. Go close to the trophy, huh? Yeah, why not? Go close to the trophy, get a good look at it. Next up, and who is had his time here on two different occasions, he led the Rookie of the Year standings this year. Of course, won Rookie of the Year at the Indianapolis 500 in a fine performance. I think when we get to a chance to ask him up here, he's probably going to say he's sick of finishing fourth, but he's finished fourth 3 times this year, which has been pretty stout. And only at the last race, he lost a marker and an honour that he'd had for quite some time, which was completing more laps than anybody else in the field. So he got let down at Portland by that, but he's still right up there at the top. It's been a very memorable season for the driver of the Clydell manufacturing Honda for Dale Coyne Racing, Santino Ferrucci. Spot in the middle there, mate. Was that you who got spoken to by Jay, or who was it?
After Toronto?
Don't worry, I'm messing with you.
No. I wasn't in trouble, according to Jay. It was
okay.
A heads up, shall we say. Because, for whatever reason, I was the poster boy for social media for IndyCar for that whole week afterwards to show excitement.
Okay, we'll talk more about that. And the leader of the Rookie of the Year standings right now, he too has had a memorable year and he's loving his time in IndyCar. We know that we're going to see him back next year. Narrowly missed his first career victory in IndyCar by just that much over his teammate Scott Dixon at Mid-Ohio. Showed speed straight away on the streets of St. Petersburg with a good qualifying and a really good race. He's had his fair share of ups and downs as well, but we will talk about that. And that is the driver of the number 10 NTT Data Honda for Chip Ganassi Racing. Come on up, Felix Rosenquist. Has been quite the season, hasn't it?
Wow, yeah.
What do you think of IndyCar? Now you're almost through your first season.
I love it. I mean, the racing is fantastic. I think that's the main thing. That's the thing that attracted me to go here in the first place. Just fighting side by side, wheel to wheel every weekend. That's something that every driver loves. And I spent a good couple of years of my career just trying to qualify in the front and just kind of driving on a train and try to finishing first. And in IndyCar, it's just so much more to it. You have to be good at strategy. You have to be really aggressive with other drivers. It's just so much more demanding as a driver, and I think that's what the driver wants. You want to be challenged, and that's definitely worked.
It's everything and more than you expected. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, it's been definitely needed to have this year to get into it. I think that goes for all of us. Coming back next year will feel a lot easier for sure.
Yep. Santino, how would you sum up your first season?
No, it's been exciting to say the least. It's one of the reasons you got into racing as a kid was to have fun and to go fast. And racing with these guys, I've never had so much fun in my life. Also traveling around back home stateside, it's been a blast. So being over in Europe for the last few years, more in Felix's home territory, it's been interesting. And being back home has been a lot of fun. And racing these guys has been great. And I wasn't a fan of the ovals coming into the year, and unfortunately, now I've really grown to like them, and I kind of wish there was a couple more on the calendar. But no, it's been a sweet year, that's for sure.
Been a pretty sweet year for you too, Colton. I mean, you think about the way the year started. You got a Rolex wristwatch put on your wrist in January by winning the GTLM class at the Rolex 24. Great start. Then you go on to win at Circuit of the Americas. Your reflections. Is it all about that win, or is it about more than that?
No, I mean, I think you won a really strong rookie campaign, and the wins were great, but I think really focusing on the stuff that I've lacked this year is more important to kind of carry forward into a sophomore season. So, I think the biggest thing that I struggled with that you could see on the broadcast is the tire dig. So obviously focusing on that, this is going to be a good track to focus on that because I think the tire dig is going to be awful. I think I think the tire dig is going to be the biggest thing. And it's going to play a huge role. And so, I think I got something to work on for this weekend, and I think everyone's going to struggle with it. So.
And you're back home. You're home here in California.
Yeah.
Get to race in your home state twice. What does that mean?
Oh, no, it's awesome. And obviously it's nice because, you spend week in and week out flying to the East Coast and back and coming home for, Monday and Tuesday and then flying back Wednesday. So it's nice to have, a 4-hour drive if anybody is from California out here. I'm from Santa Clarita, so, just north of Los Angeles. So obviously Long Beach is my real home race, but this is a close second, and just love coming up here. I got my first car win here, actually against Santino back in 2000. Yeah.
That was good time.
He was second. Close second, but no, we had a lot of good battles that year actually.
Oh my gosh.
What was 2012?
2013 winter, dude. When we got introduced to each other through Skip Barber, my introduction to Colton was the gearbox blew reverse, and it started leak oil. And unfortunately, when that happens, the car right behind you doesn't stop quite as quick. And he only did.
I didn't stop at all.
No, I think he did about 6 barrel rolls.
Yeah.
Almost into the fence, coming through into 16 in St. Petersburg. So anyone knows where 16 is, it's there's a lot of open space. But I remember driving the broken car. Driving the broken car over to get out and see if he was okay.
Yeah.
I was just blown away by that.
Anyways, I don't remember your question, but I hope I answered it.
You did. You did well. Santino, you often hear about athletes talking about, and it doesn't matter what area of sport, there's a moment where they feel they belong, or it feels natural to be there. Do you feel at home in IndyCar now?
Oh yeah, for sure. Coming every weekend and being with the team, which has become part of my family, and to show up and drive these race cars, it's been so much fun. And one of the other things that you're really looking forward to as a young driver, though, is moving forward and going into something like the new car. Because I've always been a fan of horsepower and speed. So if anyone that knows me knows I have a few stories with going fast. But no, I feel at home with the series and with everybody here, and especially with the drivers. It's kind of nice to just be able to go out with them after the race and hang out and have a good time. It's not something that you're not commonly adjusted to, or I have been at least in the past. So it's been a lot of fun.
Good. Hey, I'll tell you something about Sweden, about your homeland. I just learnt this tonight with the IndyCar app. Outside of the US, the country where the app is most downloaded is Sweden.
Sweden.
That sounds pretty good, doesn't it?
Yes, it's impressive.
It was the live stream.
I think Marcus has to. We have to thank Marcus a lot for that as well. He's the famous boy in Sweden because he's been in F1 obviously, but yeah, all our attention in Sweden has kind of moved towards IndyCar after Marcus stopped in F1 and I went to IndyCar and him at the same time, and it's good to hear. I mean, it really warms my heart to hear how the Swedish fans are, growing, and they're just so involved. Like in the beginning, no one understood anything about IndyCar. Everyone thought, it's too much safety car, it's blah, blah, blah. And then now everyone just loves it. And I think it takes time. As much as it takes time for us to learn how to drive here, it also takes time for the fans. And it's been good to see that they have been, they're into it now. They're like acclimatized.
How important is, there's about a 50-point spread between the three of you for Rookie of the Year honours. How important is that for you? You're still waiting for that first race win. So how important is it if you left this weekend as Rookie of the Year? Been some pretty famous IndyCar drivers win that title, by the way.
Yeah, you can only win it once. That's, and I'm definitely already old being a rookie. So yeah, I think this has to be the time to win it. I think in the beginning of the year, I probably had unrealistic expectations. As you said, St. Petersburg started off maybe too well, leading a lot of that race, and then finishing fourth was amazing. And then you kind of want to win immediately, which didn't happen for a long time. I mean, I would say middle of the season, like Indy and Detroit was really tough, and kind of had a mental little roller coaster there. And that's when you had to, stop focusing on the real championship, and the rookie championship became more, the one to fight for, unfortunately. But it's still fun. I mean, we have Santino and Colton, and also Marcus and Patricio. It's been amazing, to fight against these younger than me guys.
I like that, younger than me.
Than me. Well, Marcus is older, but...
You're still young, Santino, did winning Rookie of the Year at the 500 change things for you at all, or just give you more of a boost?
Yeah, I think that's such an honor to win as well. But it's like one of those things. Winning it over one race is very different than winning it over a championship. With the 500, as everyone knows, it's a really long one. You need to have everything go right. You need to have a good car. You need to be lucky. And, we had one of those days to where, nothing really ever went wrong, and we raced really well. And to win that as an honor was unbelievable. It's one of those things to where, that made Indy really feel like a home for me. Mm-hmm. And to win, if you're to win the second one, obviously this weekend I have some really stiff competition. He might disappear after tonight, but no, it'd be incredible to sweep that. So, but it's going to be a long weekend ahead. So both these guys are really, really quick and competitive.
And let's not forget double points. So Colton, anything could happen. Do you still hold hope that you could take the Rookie of the Year title?
Yeah, I think as we've seen, we've all had good weekends, but we've had equally terrible weekends. So, I hate to say it, but I'm wishing for terrible weekends for these guys, and then, I just need to win the race. Easy as that, right? So, no, but honestly, it's been a true honor racing with these guys, and I think a lot of us will be in the series for a long time, and I'm glad to be part of a rookie class that has been profiled as one of the higher ones that have come through IndyCar. So.
And for so long, you were Brian Herter's son, but now Brian Herter is Colton Herter's dad.
Maybe not this weekend, but yes, most weekends.
What's it been like? Has your relationship changed as a result of this year? How much time do you get one-on-one with Dad, and how much do you...
I still live at home.
Good.
Yeah, so I get a lot of time with my family. Too much time. I'm enjoying these race weekends. It's almost time off. No, it's awesome. Obviously, you do get profiled as Brian hurt his son, but it's better to have it this way than any other way. You know, he taught me so much through my career. He's the whole reason I got into this sport. If he wasn't into it, I don't know if I would have had the drive or passion for it, if I wasn't around it at such a young age. So, no, very grateful.
And first time here when you came to WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, do you remember? How old were you?
He probably ran here in 2001, so I was probably 1 year old at that time.
About that. That beats Alexander Rossi. I think Alexander was 3 when he came here. Anyway, so Santino, oh, by the way, before I forget, for those wanting photographs with the Rookie of the Year contenders, with the Astor Cup, that'll happen once we've finished the championship contenders as well, and we'll clear the room and bring the guys back in. You'll get your shots for sure. Similar question to what I asked Jay Fry. How will you, when you leave here, when you leave California, head home to Connecticut, how will you view 2019?
I mean, you look at it as, you take it as it was. It was a phenomenal rookie year, and you're going to go into your sophomore year looking to do better, fix all of the mistakes that you had, and to excel. And, you know, for me, 2019 is over on Monday morning, hopefully with a trophy and some really great partying. And we move into 2020 the day after on trying to work on making it even better to fight for the big, beautiful Astor Challenge Championship trophy, and we go from there.
Are you better? Are you a better driver now, do you think, because of being in IndyCar?
I like to think yes. You know, I think IndyCar has taught me a lot about myself, and starting with, you know, even coming into the sport last year in Detroit, Duels, Portland, and Sonoma, it helped so much to start this year off throughout the winter, to kind of give me a little bit of a heads up of what I was expecting out of the car, how I needed to train myself, and to what I needed to focus on already. And it was a nice jump start to the year. So, and no, I like to think now that I'm much smarter in, you know, the way I do things, and much more efficient as well.
Good. Felix, you've got to, you've had the opportunity to be in a pretty unique environment, and I say that because, you know, when we are allowed into the hauler and we get to hang out with you guys, and I see you in there with Scott Dixon, you know, 5-time champion. I see you in there with Dario Franchitti, a 4-time champion, 3-time Indy 500 winner. You're mixing with some pretty amazing talent there who happen to think that you're pretty amazing as well. What's that? Tell the folks what's that been like? Just hanging with those guys, you know, shooting the breeze, whether it's going over hard race data or it's just hanging with them. Has that helped you grow as an athlete and as a driver?
Definitely. I think actually the good thing with being around Dario and Scott has been that it's like being around, you know, your own friends from back home. They are not acting, you know, like superstars, or like you realize that they are superstars when you leave the truck and there's like 300 people waiting to get an autograph, and I can just sneak out the back.
That'll change. So
it's like Dario's leading the way for Scott, and he's leading the way for me among all the fans. But no, they're just super nice people, and I think that's how you work, you know, together in the best way, where it's just easy and comfortable, and you know, there's nothing serious, just good times.
You guys have a few laughs, don't you?
Yeah, it's been a good couple of laughs, especially in Iowa leading up to the race. That was a good one.
And have you ever had a team boss like Chip Ganassi?
Nope.
All right. Well, great getting some insight for the weekend. Lovely to spend some time with these guys, and please join me in wishing them all the very best in the battle for the Rookie of the Year in the NTT IndyCar Series. Guys, thank you very much. Felix Rosenquist, Santino Ferrucci, and Colton Herter. Thanks, guys.
We're going to keep these.
What's that?
We're going to keep these.
You can keep those. I think Mike Zizzo's going to steal them from you. And as the guys make their way up, the championship contenders are ready to roll. You ready to hear for the contenders? Yes. I think they're ready. All right, they're ready to go. So we'll get them out here. And let's start with the reigning champion in the NTT IndyCar Series, who just so happens to be a 5-time champion. We were just talking about him. He's had 2 wins this season. And it's quite incredible to think that he has had 5 really tough results outside of the top 10, but yet he still finds himself here as a championship contender. The driver of the number 9 PNC Bank Honda for Chip Ganassi Racing. A big round of applause for Scott Dixon. Scott's got some work to do this weekend. We'll talk about that. He's 95 points back, but we'll talk about the business at hand in just a moment. Also, championship challenger, who is 42 points back. He knows what it's like to win a championship. He did that in 2016 and would dearly love to do it again. Of course, this year has been the year of his career, as we quite often say, because he clinched his very first Indianapolis 500. It's been amazing in that he swept the month of May. He's had 3 wins on the season. He added to the month of May with the win on the streets of Toronto, driving the 22 Menard Chevrolet for Team Penske, Simon Pagenaud. How are you? And 1 point, just 1 point closer to the top than Simon, is a driver who almost got there last year as well. He has had a pretty amazing year. We've come to expect that from the next driver, who would dearly love to add to his 2016 Indianapolis 500 victory with an NTT IndyCar Series title as well. 2 wins on the season and 2 very dominant wins on the streets of Long Beach and at Road America as well. There's a few that got away from him, but he'll try and make up for that this weekend. The driver of the number 27 Napa Honda for Andretti Autosport. Let's hear it for Alexander Rossi. And that leaves just one, the man who boasts a pretty healthy championship lead. He got the year off to the best possible start by winning on the streets of St. Petersburg in Florida. He knows he's got a healthy point lead, but double points this weekend is what we'll all be talking about. And he's had an amazing season with 4 victories that have aided that to boast that 41-point advantage. Let's hear it for the driver of the number 2 Hitachi Chevrolet for Team Penske, championship leader. He's been there almost all season long, Joseph Newgarden. So let's start with that. Being the championship leader every round bar one after the Indy 500 when Simon had that honor. Does that give you extra confidence coming into this weekend?
I mean, I think we feel good about it. You know, we feel confident, but not overly confident. You know, I have a tremendous amount of respect for the guys on stage, or really everybody. You know, you start the year with, someone asked me, are there any true rivalries in this series? And I think you start the year with everybody. I mean, you have to beat every driver, every team, and then it whittles down to the real contenders towards the end. But I just have a lot of respect for the talent that these guys have. I know what they're capable of. Mm-hmm. It makes our job, in my opinion, very difficult this weekend, especially with double points, like you said. It's not going to be easy to come in here and, just take it simply. So we're going to have to work for it, and I think we've done that all year. I feel confident we can do that again this weekend, so we're going to try and stay focused to get through this thing.
Alexander, racing at home, second time in California this year. That's a nice treat. In this position a year ago, going for the title in second place, what are your thoughts a year on, and what are your thoughts about this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we're happy to be here as a part of this conversation. It's a big honor, as Joseph said. I don't want to play favorites, so. It's a big honor to be a part of this conversation. There's so many guys that are capable of winning races, as we see week in and week out. There's always seemingly a new face, a new winner, new pole sitters, and that's what this series is all about. So to be here, unfortunately, in a position that we're not leading, but still here nonetheless, is a very cool thing, and hopefully we can have a little bit better fortune than we did last year.
Mr. Indy 500 winner, what do we think? It all comes down to this.
Yeah, that's the fun of it, really. Obviously for us on the 22 team, it's been an incredible year. Obviously, winning the Indianapolis 500 was the biggest dream of my life. Such an accomplishment for myself, for my team, and also for France. It's been hasn't been done in 99 years, so it was very special. to bring back the Borg Warner there. And I want to thank Borg Warner for making that possible. And obviously IndyCar. We had a tremendous celebration, whether it was in America or in France, and that was a very special year. So to cap it off, all you got to do is win the championship. It's very,
just that.
very simple, really. But for me, the situation is very, very simple. I just got to go out there and, bring my A game, my team and myself, and just work really hard to get the car ready tomorrow in practice, and then just hit your marks and get it done at the end. At the end of the day, I've got to do exactly what I did in 2017 when I went to Sonoma, try to win the race, and whatever they do, I don't really care. It's going to sort itself out. You just have to be focused on your job and do it, really. So we'll see.
In addition to Simon putting it that simply, any of the four contenders will tell you it's all about winning. And something that I was remiss to mention in the introductions, the 5-time and reigning champion, Scott Dixon, this year notched up a pretty special accomplishment. This year, Scott made it 15 consecutive years with a win, at least one win, every year for 15 years. That deserves a round of applause. What does that mean? It either means you're good or you're old, or is it both?
Well, I think it's definitely both, right? It was definitely an interesting year for us. As I think you commented on earlier, we just had so many ups and downs. The last two races were definitely tough to swallow. With two mechanicals and races that were going well for us. But it's great to be up here. We've still got a chance.
A chance, that's right.
A chance is gonna take a lot, but we're definitely up for it. But no, I'm excited to be in this position, and I think the show come Sunday is going to be very, very exciting.
It's an often used phrase where you never count Scott Dixon out. Scott Dixon's always there at the end of the season, but kind of you're in the Will Power situation that he was last year. Despite having numerous bad results that not necessarily were his fault, you still find yourself here. Are you sort of surprised that you're here?
I think after the last couple, we had, sort of a middle part in the season too, where we got involved in the crash at Indy, and then, Texas, and then Detroit myself, and then Road America, and we kind of got through that phase and started to make a little bit of headway. But with the last two, those were definitely the tough ones, I think, just because you were starting to get close enough to maybe be a threat, and now, sort of on the back foot again. But, that's... You see it play out. I've been involved, as you said, maybe 15 plus of these championships, and each year you can kind of see how it rolls. And some people, it's just their year. They get on a roll. They have races where they maybe don't qualify that well, but they turn them into great, victories, or top threes or top fives, and that's where you see it really transform. And I guess these three up here have done a very good job of that this year.
I can't remember. Are you one of the four who has raced here? There's Kanan,
Bourdais,
yes. Yourself, and who's the fourth? Ryan Hunter-Reay.
Hunter-Reay.
So there's only four of the drivers who have raced here in an IndyCar at WeatherTech Raceway. Simon, are you looking forward? I know you've raced here before, but are you looking forward to being here in an IndyCar?
Yeah. I think it's a classic for IndyCar. It's a classic Grand Prix here and Grand Prix. For those who've seen the commercial. It's good, right? Yeah, you need to watch TV, man. There's a commercial on NBC Sports Network. You didn't see?
You were on a commercial?
Yeah, man. It was great.
Good for you.
It's great, yeah.
Who were you playing?
Roger was there. Blaney was there. I was playing the French guy.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Dude, he's Jean Girard.
Yeah.
Literally.
It's a small act for me, really.
Yeah. That's where he made his real money.
He did. He
cashed in.
Dashed and went racing for real.
So I'm excited about this Grand Prix. It's a beautiful track. I've had the chance to race here in sports cars 3 years in a row, and loved it. Really loved it. The corkscrew is such an incredible signature of that track, and I think being in California for the last one is also an interesting market for IndyCar and for ourselves, the drivers. So super excited. And the fact that it's 100 points, I think, I hated it when I was leading the championship, but I love it now. I'm behind, so.
Keep those double points coming, huh?
Keep them coming.
For those of you who don't know, Alexander was introduced to the sport of motorsport, the sport we all love, by his dad, and came to this track the age of 3. And have you allowed yourself the time or the opportunity, have you afforded yourself that to dream of being a champion? If you were crowned a champion back at the track that you first came to watch motor racing, that'd be pretty cool, wouldn't it?
Can I go now? Like, that's on, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
What
can I
were you
say?
saying about when it's your year, Scott? Yeah.
That's right. That's
Something
right.
like that. And microphones work for you and all that jazz. Dang. Yes. All right. So no, to answer your question.
haven't afforded
I
yourself
haven't
that.
given
Okay.
myself that opportunity. However, driving in today, it's just a Wednesday, right? It's a setup day, and coming in, going up the hill, through the guard gate, turning right, and then turning left over the track, it brought back such fond memories of coming here as a kid and my introduction to the sport and what made me want to become a race car driver. So the fact that we're here, we're competing in the same series that I was originally introduced to, regardless of how this weekend goes. Obviously, we have a hope and a vision. The fact that we're back here and it's come full circle is very special to me. And we're going to have a lot of family here, friends from my hometown, and it's going to be a hell of a weekend. So just as I said, feel very privileged to be here this weekend.
I think you have more points now than you did back in 2017 coming into the last race. But are there similarities 2 years on, differences 2 years on? How do you feel? What are the are you more relaxed because you know how to win a championship? You've got that done. You just want to add to that total, or take us inside?
It honestly feels the same. You know, I think it was only 3 points up to Scott. I think it was only to Scott in 2017. So it was pretty much, you know, you have to win. You have to win, and that's the only way to get it done. We don't have to do that, but it still kind of feels that way, to be honest with you. We know we have to finish fourth, irregardless of where everyone else finishes, and that gets the job done. But I've told people it's not easy to finish fourth in an IndyCar race. That's a good day.
Sure.
That's a really good day. Sure, you can have better days, you can win the race, but to be top 5 in this series consistently is not an easy thing to do. So I think we have a big task ahead of us. We've just got to honestly treat it like it's been any other weekend. I don't know how we can do it differently. If it wasn't double points, I think it would be a lot simpler, obviously. But with double points, it really changes the game. And I kind of knew that at the beginning of the year. I think it doesn't matter, you know, how big of a lead you build up. It's going to be hard to build up a lead to make you comfortable enough on 100 points, and that's where we find ourselves. So, yeah, we're staying focused, like I said, because I don't think we can try and take it easy or play the smart route. If we try and play it too smart and finish 5th or 6th, that's not enough.
Yep.
So we're very focused on trying to continue what we've done all year.
Just for interest's sake, just swap that. Mic sounded very strong. Give that back to Alexander. Let's just
It's warmed up.
Just see.
I'm good to go now. It's the guy in the back, I tell you. He's playing games.
I think it would be pretty easy for us to guess the worst part of your year. That was that frustration at Pocono. Best part of the year so far for you?
Oh, that's a good question. I think Indy. I mean, as much as that was painful, thanks, man. It's just the fact that, you know, to be able to go to that event in the first place is so phenomenal. And it's our flagship race. It's the one we think about, the one you dream about. But to go there and to be up front all day and have a competitive car and have a shot at winning and kind of be able to go into the last 10 laps, whatever it was, knowing that, you know, if the cards fell our way, we could win the Indy 500. So despite it being probably a heartbreaking day, it's also an amazing day when you look back on it and the show that we were all able to put on, and you know, continuing to make it the greatest race in the world.
Would it be fair to say for you, and I kind of want to take the 500 away from the discussion table at the moment, would it be fair to say to you that you are here because of the way that you turned things around and you rallied and you changed whatever you needed to change, and that Grand Prix of Indianapolis was one of the best drives I've seen you put in ever, in sports cars, Indy cars, whatever. Was that the turning point for you?
Well, I think the turning point was probably at the end of 2018 when we started, you know, sacrificing some weekend to understand what we needed for the next year. And that's really when the ball started rolling. That's when we understood how we were going to attack 2019. Quite frankly, 19, we had a bit of bad luck to start, but we're competitive. So I knew it was coming. but when was the question. I knew we were about to have a good time, but the Grand Prix was a lot of fun. You know, I love driving in the wet, but first of all, in qualifying in the dry, we felt very competitive. But then when it started raining, that's when it started getting fun. So fun for me. Sorry, Scott.
That race was horrible.
Yeah.
No part of that was good.
It was so great to pass you on the last lap. I mean, that was fun. But yeah, we just had the car was perfect in those conditions, and you know getting another victory at that Grand Prix, the third one, was very good, and it's a great way to start your month of May. You know, a lot of people would say they would rather start one race later to start the roll bowling, but we did it. So we swept the whole month. We got the pole at the Indianapolis 500, then the race. So it was pretty much an incredible month of May. But yeah, the Grand Prix was the rain drive was probably one of the best memory of the year.
Good. Scott, for you, you know, and for all of the drivers, for your peers, IndyCar fans all over the world like to focus on you guys individually, but it's equally as intriguing as to the team dynamics. Your team changed this year. You got Felix Rosenqvist as your rookie teammate. What's that relationship been like? And we saw on a couple of occasions just how hard he pushed you. Mid-Ohio in particular, that was a thrilling end. What's it been like?
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I've known Felix for a little while now, probably 5+ years, and to see, I think for him joining the team, it's been actually really refreshing for a guy that's so young. He's raced in so many different formulas, so he's actually made us really think about the process and how we do things, or even just question it. Like why do you do it that way? And he's like, well, we did it this way, at this place, and blah blah blah. So it's actually been quite nice, to go through that transition, and he's been super fast. And being able to I think really push the team. We like similar things, which has really helped. I think in the last few years we haven't really had that as a team. Everybody's kind of been off in different directions, but his work ethic is really good. And next year he's gonna be a contender, man. He's gonna be super strong. So he's a lot of fun, but he's the adorable Swede. I call him Frodo because he looks like a little hobbit. But he's not here, so that's okay. But he gets pretty fired up.
Alexander, I don't mean to ignore you in this because you're the only one who can't answer it, but I got to witness several races ago my colleague at NBC, Paul Tracy, walk up to the Astor Cup, and he got to see his name on there, and he just stood there and he's looking at 2003, and I could see with PT just how much it meant. What's it like to have your name on there? And Alexander, your name's going to be on there, whether it be this year or another year, for sure.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
I mean, it's incredible just to have this as a job is crazy. I think when you're forced to talk about how it all starts for you specifically, and when you started out, for me, I was 13 racing go-karts with my dad was how it all started. But you don't think of this when you start. I think you just have a passion for it. You have a passion for driving. You have a passion for the process of it, and that's why you show up to the track, is the fun of it. And to be able to see it get to this point, I mean, for all of us to get to this point, it's very, very cool. But this might come off strange, but I think the racer in you, whenever you're able to achieve that, it's obviously a lot of people that it takes to make that happen, but you start thinking about the next one. You go, okay, well, we got one, how do we get another? And I think that's the competitive side of this sport. All these guys feel that way. They want to get as much as possible. And as a competitor, I think that's the drive that you have to have, is to get as much as possible. So that's what I'm thinking now, but it takes a lot of people. I think that's the biggest thing to realize, is that it's a big organization with all these teams and all the people that put into it to make it happen. And that's what makes it feel so good, because we all have to do our job to achieve a championship, and hopefully we can do it again.
And Simon, Scott, speak freely. I mean, what's it like when you look over and you can go around and you can find your name? Scott, you can find it, 5 occasions, but
yeah,
anyway.
He's got more times than me, that's for sure. But no, it's just, personally, just like Joseph said, is like when you look at the names, you go back in time and remember your first race. You remember the first time you thought about being a race car driver. For me, I was 4 years old. Watching Senna and Prost battling on the racetrack, that to me is what started the fire out of nowhere, really, because like you guys might know, my family was not in racing, so it was very unrealistic at that age to think that maybe I could even be racing. But being a champion of your own sport is very, you feel grateful. You feel like you had a special life, really, and that's how I feel. I see myself next to my heroes. Montoya was a hero. I used to watch him on TV, and he's right there. Helio Castroneves. I remember turning newspaper of him when he climbed the fence for the first time on the French newspaper. So it's incredible to see your name next to these guys, and then when all of a sudden you race against them, try to emulate what they did. So it's it's just incredible to actually live your dream life.
Scott?
Yeah, I think you covered it all, man. Jeez, good job. But no, it's what we all strive to do, right? That's why we're in this series, and I think, especially in the modern day formula, it's so tight, and I think everybody's commented on that and just how competitive it is, But for me, I look at like 2007. Run out of fuel on the last corner of the last lap and lose the championship to Dario. 2009. I kind of look at the near misses quite a bit. So, but yeah, I think that's good motivation for me too.
So to kind of wrap everything up a little bit, Scott needs all the perfect lottery numbers to fall to win. Kind of. It's kind of tough for these two guys in the middle. They need this man to finish further down beyond 5th, 6th, 7th, back down, and you guys have good days, and you just need to manage, right? So that's kind of the scenario in a synopsis. Mr. California, we're going to give you the last word. What do we look forward to this weekend? What do we get excited about being back at Laguna Seca?
It's just race cars, man. Like, that's what we're all here for, right? I'm thrilled, as you mentioned, the fact that we're able to have 2 races in California, in kind of my home state, is amazing. But every time that we went to Sonoma, we went to Long Beach, I imagine coming here is going to be the same. Just the fan turnout and the excitement and the passion and the energy that they have. It's you guys that keep us motivated to keep going each and every weekend. And sometimes in the middle of the season, in those 3-week stretches when we see your excitement level at the racetrack, it kind of reminds us of how we all fell in love with this sport. So just a huge shout out to everyone that's here now, that's going to be here this weekend, and we'll put on a hell of a show for y'all.
And I'm not sure if you heard our chat with IndyCar's president, Jay Fry, but when you go down the checklist, it's been a pretty amazing year. New title sponsor, some new tracks coming on the schedule, returning tracks. For us at NBC, having the whole season in our first Indianapolis 500, and just there's a feel-good factor, and there's a lot of momentum, and there's a lot of positivity and a lot to look forward to. And on behalf of everybody and everybody watching on the app, we wish the 4 of you all the best of luck. Have a great weekend. Have a great race. And it's going to give us great television and great viewing and a lot of excitement. So I wish our 4 championship contenders all the best.
Thank you.
Joseph Newgarden and Alexander Rossi, Simon Pagenaud and Scott Dixon. Thank you, guys. And just a reminder that the bar will reopen, or it is open already, I believe. There's still some stuff out there, so please mix and mingle. And for those who need photographs, the championship contenders will come back in around the Astor Cup, and also the rookie contenders as well. That kind of wraps up the formal part of the evening. Have a super weekend. Out on the track. Thanks.